Google ad reps suck. They really, really suck. They give you terrible advice, which is useless, which is what we're going to be covering in this video today. And not just that, they give it to you repeatedly every single quarter. I run an agency right now called Snowball Creations. We run Google ads for many different people. And so we get every single one of our clients, Google reps, getting in touch with us. So practically every single Monday, it's like a tradition with us in the team. We get these never-ending calls from Manchester, from very helpful Google ad reps trying to improve our ROAS. I'll stop the quotes from now on. And so this video is trying to battle against that useless tradition that is the Google reps. We're going to try and talk about how you can avoid the bad advice. We're going to talk about 6 different terrible things they tell you to do, which you should definitely not be doing to help you avoid the damage that they do cause. It upsets me. My career is to help people do better with paid advertising, and the Google team are crushing the good work that we're doing regularly for many people around the world. So fingers crossed this helps save at least one life. So number 1, broad keywords. They love to recommend using broad keywords. For some of the beginners, a broad keyword is a type of match type. So there's broad, there's phrase, and then there's exact. Broad is the broadest by definition. So if you have a few words like eco-friendly bamboo toothbrush, you could be showing up for stuff that's like just generally bamboo products. You could show up for anything and everything connected to that. You could show up for other kind of eco-friendly products, which are just nothing to do with bamboo toothbrushes, all sorts of stuff. Then there's phrase match, is a bit more specific, but to be honest, they've made that quite broad nowadays, but it is ultimately a little tighter, whereas it's technically meant to be kind of like a phrase match, but it's beyond that now. And then there's exact, which is very tight. So that's the closest you're going to get to being precise now with any kind of keyword that you might have. So if it was bamboo toothbrush in exact match, you're going to be very likely to get just bamboo toothbrush related search results in your search terms. Whereas a broad match, you're going to be wasting so much of your budget. So Google reps love to tell you to use broad match because they believe that their super system within Google will still find you the best results possible, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't ever happen. And so basically it means that you end up wasting loads of your budget. The biggest problem most of the time when people are starting with Google ads especially is they go too broad. You maybe have £1,000 budget, a £500 budget, a £5,000 budget. In any of these scenarios, really anything under like 3,000, depending on what your niche is and the cost per click, you are likely to be basically too broad, showing up on too many things. So it's better to go too narrow and not even spend your budget and then expand a little bit by bit. That's a much healthier way of doing it, where you're going to be wasting a lot less of your clicks. So that's number 1, broad match. Don't use them, use phrase or exact instead and have less waste with your budget. Number 2 is automated bidding strategies. So as I say, most of the advice from Google reps is Google knows better. That's basically their opinion. So they say use the automated bidding strategies, but in particular the conversion focused automated bidding strategies. They'll tell you to use things like maximize conversions, maximize conversion value, target ROAS or target CPA. Those are the most common ones that they're going to recommend. And those are amazing bidding strategies, but only if you have the conversion data. And if you're just starting, you very likely don't. And you also need to make sure that your conversions are set up correctly. So Google reps don't really care about that. They don't really bother to really look into that properly with you. So if you're an e-commerce company, you can just pull in the transactions data from your Google Analytics. E-commerce tracking is the best way to do it. Or the B2B side of things, you set up goals within Google Analytics. Let's say you're like submitting an application form or some kind of form. You have a redirect to a thank you page, set that up as your goal. So then you have proper conversions firstly, but then you need to have at least 30 to 40 conversions at least within a 30-day period for Google to have a chance of being able to follow where are the conversions, and so finding results for you. So generally those will not work, and you will get basically nothing out of the system if you try to just jump to maximize conversions too early when you don't have enough. So I'd recommend very likely maximize clicks is a good safe bet at the beginning. This just gets as many clicks to your website as possible, and then that gives you a good chance of getting enough conversions initially, and then you can scale up a little bit and then move over to one of these smarter objectives later on as a bidding strategy. Number 3, search and display networks. So the main way that you use a search campaign is to show up on the search results within the ads that you see. You see those text ads show up. Then there's also the search network, and there's the display network. These are other Google networks where you might show up all through the internet in all sorts of weird places. And basically you will have customers come through those systems. But in the reality, the vast majority of the time, again, there's always exceptions with everything within paid ads, but the vast majority of the time, these are lower quality audiences. And at the very least, if you want to be doing display ads, for example, we had a client recently in a similar situation, you should set up a separate display campaign, because if you're trying to run display ads, do them properly. A proper display campaign allows you to set proper assets within the campaign. It allows you to set the type of targeting you want to, separate from search, because these are different animals, so you should put them separately. Google reps love to tell you to do those, so avoid that advice. Turn off search and display when you're creating any search campaign. When you're scrolling through the settings, you'll see it, search network and display network. Untick both of those boxes. Sometimes it reticks them, so you need to untick it again to make sure that it's fully switched off. Google really loves to shove it down your throat with those two. Number 4, this is use optimized ad rotation. So Google loves to tell you to do this. This is where, again, it's hidden down inside the additional settings within your search campaigns and other campaign types. Is Google says, okay, you have 2 different responsive search ads. We generally would set up 2 responsive search ads. So Google will say, we're gonna just pick whichever's best and just run with that and put all of the attention on that one. But the problem is, a lot of the time, Google doesn't actually do a very good job of judging which has done better, because it has quite a short-term view of things. And sometimes, for example, the click-through rate can actually be worse on one of your ads, but the conversion rate is much better. So Google will be wrong in its decisions on which ads correct. So it's better to optimize for do not optimize for the best performing advert. So do not optimize for best performing ads. You're gonna have to change to this setting whenever you create any search campaign, and Google reps love to tell you to do that, but it's not good advice. So turn that off, do not optimize, and then what you should do instead is just track these 2 responsive search ads you've created, and just after a month or so, you really need to let a good amount of clicks go through it, see which one's performing better, kill the loser, keep the winner, and then come up with another ad to try to beat that winner. And just keep repeating that process is the simplest way to look at it. Number 5 is use dynamic search ads. So this is where you say to Google, the website that I want people to go to is this homepage, and then Google goes into that page, grabs a bunch of copy from it, grabs loads of keywords, grabs images, your logo, etc., and then just tries to create a bunch of adverts for you and chooses what keywords to list those on. And so the problem with this, firstly, is that you have no control over it. You have no idea what the hell it's doing. Secondly, it's often just actually targeting your brand name, because of course, let's say our company name is Snowball Creations. We have that in the title of the website, we have it in the footer, we have it all over the place. So if Google's going to go to that page and look for keywords, it will choose Snowball Creations, and it will also not block Snowball Creations in any other ad groups. So it doesn't even create ad groups. So it ultimately just makes you aggressively cannibalize and bid against yourself on your own brand name. So for example, with one of our clients, they started with us with dynamic search ads before we got involved, and they had an average click-through rate of 2%, just over 2%, 2.2%. And so as in, for every 100 people that saw their advert, roughly 2 people chose to go ahead on it and click on their advert over other organic or paid ads. Whereas we got involved, we switched from dynamic to a normal pure search campaign, and we increased that to 17%. So 17 out of 100 chose to click on them versus 2 out of 100. This is just proof or evidence for a good example of just how terrible they are at creating these adverts. They are not good quality because it's a machine trying to write human copy is still not yet good enough. Humans are better at that kind of thing. And the very last one, this one is so dangerous. Like, I can't believe that it's even a thing. I think it's just Google trying to make cash, is auto apply. So there's the recommended section within the Google Ads platform. So you can go into this, and then there's an auto apply section also on the right hand side, I believe, when I'm trying to imagine it in my head. And you basically have an option to check boxes to say, I'll let Google just automatically do the things that it recommends. So all of this other advice I've been telling you about, for example, broad keywords or bidding strategies, Google will give you weird recommendations like that, which are wrong, like we've already discussed, but then it will automatically implement them into your campaigns. So we had one client, took us by surprise, who had done this before we started with them. And then ultimately, we had set up everything perfectly, but within days of running it, Google had just wandered in and auto-applied huge numbers of changes and destroyed the entire account, really. So we had to undo so many changes, try and solve this, and it put us back massively for weeks ahead. So it's a really important one to basically make sure you keep that switched off. Do not follow the recommended actions from Google. You can look at them as a kind of idea and think about it for yourself. Maybe that is something that could be worthwhile, but a lot of them are rubbish. Occasionally there's some good ones in there in terms of maybe new keywords which have shown up, or when there's a problem, for example, like you've set a negative keyword which is blocking one of your main keywords you're trying to rank for, stuff like that. It can be helpful, but generally speaking, they suck, and definitely do not let them auto apply. I hope all of these have been helpful for you. I hope this saves you from having your account destroyed by these evil Google reps. Of course, I'm partly joking. They are perfectly fine people, but they're on a sales quota. They can be a bit annoying. And I think and we know this for a fact, when you get a lot bigger, the quality improves. You get the kind of, the people based in Ireland, for example, are often a bit better, or America. There are some really exceptional Google reps. But for anyone who's just starting out especially, you get the bottom rung of Google reps, and they're generally just trying to make you spend more money to make Google more money. So I hope this helps. I wish you all the luck with Google, and otherwise I will see you in the next Wednesday.